What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Ronnie Osani Show. Today's guest is the great Oliver Jackson. Found it. Do you like that? The great.
I'll take it.
Oliver Jackson, the great. Founder and CEO of Living Property. A bit about Oliver. Oliver is a buyer's agent, buyer's advocate, property advisor, and expert negotiator. Living Property specializes in sourcing and accessing all market stock, including pre, post, and off-market properties with expert negotiators securing your next property. So you guys help clients who are time poor or have limited time to research the property, want to leverage experts' knowledge, are perhaps fearful of overpaying or maybe had a bad experience in the past, or prefer to delegate the entire process to someone who knows what to do and what the heck they're doing. Some of the types of clients that you work with are first home buyers, primary residence upgraders, property investors, developers, and overseas or interstate buyers. That's a massive list of type of people and clients that you work with. Well done. And aside from your professional background, on a personal level, you've been doing some really, really cool stuff. I've been kind of watching from afar over the last 12 months, especially with the pandemic kicking in. So you started doing marathons and triathlons and things like that. So I kind of want to, so for everyone listening, we'll probably spend the first half of the episode talking about personal stuff, self-development, and how you spent the last maybe year or two pushing yourself in different directions to constantly push boundaries and improve yourself in every way possible, which is something I strive to do as well. And then the second half, we'll talk about the really exciting stuff, property buying.
Yeah, everyone gets excited about property.
Yeah. What is up, everyone? This is Ronnie, your host of the Ronnie Osani Show. My number one goal in this show is to bring you some of the most amazing and accomplished individuals in the business world to share with you some real, raw, and authentic business insights. We sit down and talk in a casual setting, nothing too serious, yet we unpack some of the most incredible ideas, concepts, and best practices. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Oh, and don't forget to share the love. Like, share, and subscribe. Gracias, amigos. Okay, cool. So how did the whole marathon and triathlon stuff come about?
Thanks for having me, by the way.
Anytime.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
So the marathon, a friend of mine, I think he texted me and goes, I'm raising some money for charity. Do you want to do a marathon? And I haven't run in probably 14 years, I reckon. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. Why not? What else am I going to do? It's coronavirus, locked in. I'm allowed to go out for an hour. I may as well do some running. And I ran 3Ks, and I'm quite a fit person, but I ran 3Ks, and I was like, oh my God, this is horrible.
Yeah.
And then I was like, he rang me the next day. He goes, how'd you go? And I was like, yeah, no, it was fine. It was fine. And he goes, do you want to do an ultra marathon? Like, I'm thinking we'll do an ultra, which was 63 Ks. And I just went, yeah, okay. Yeah, no worries. So he's like, there's 150 of us, and only 3 of us are going to do the ultra marathon. And I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Why not?
Yeah.
And I was eating a lot of locked in, drinking heaps of beers, getting high, eating burgers, chips, like just the okay, we're locked in, let's just get loose kind of thing. Yeah. And then I started doing this running, and I was like, no, this isn't congruent with what I'm doing.
No.
So I was like, that's it. I read a book called Finding Ultra by Rich Roll.
Finding Ultra
by Rich Roll.
Okay.
And he was 38, which I am. He was unhealthy, and he went vegan and then started to run. And now he's one of the best enduro triathletes in the world.
Wow.
And he's in his 50s. So the next day, I quit drugs, alcohol, coffee, sugar, and went vegan for 30 days just to get my training going, just so I could break all the bad cycles of things.
Yeah.
Like I was majorly healthy, but when lockdown happened, it was just like, why not? Let's just have a few beers. So I quit everything that day for 30 days. And then I got to 30 days and I was like, I think I got up to like a 25K run. I have a few coaches that kind of obviously helped me through it. And when I got to the 30 days, I was like, I'll do another 30 days. Another 30 days. That was, I think, 10 months ago now. Haven't wavered off it at all. I'm actually actually no, I've had one beer. For life, that's
everyone
gonna be
deserves a beer.
It was actually after I did the ultra. I was like,
Yeah.
give me a beer.
Yeah.
But so that's my life now. Like my life is literally 100% health based.
Absolutely. That's super inspiring to hear. But I wonder, when you read that book and when you said to your friend that you're going to go on the ultra marathon, that decision of quitting everything and switching your diet, these are a lot of different things that you're quitting and moving away from, and tapping into this brain power that allows you to consistently staying away and focusing on the other side. You know, normally people with habits, they try to quit one thing at a time or adopt one habit at a time. I mean, you're almost like a year in and you managed to like flip a switch on 5 or 6 things. And I find that super intriguing. Like, how did you, what was there a lot of energy, or was there a lot of, have you been thinking about it for a long time? What would you attribute to how you were able to manage all of that?
I wasn't thinking about it at all, actually. So I read the book and I was like, okay, that works for Rich Roll. Like, I've always been into CrossFit, so it was always very meat orientated. When I spent 15 years of my life getting absolutely wasted, just partying my ass off. I went full ball at that. I was a professional. And then when I wanted to stop, I just stopped. That was it. I was like, oh, I'm done. Stop. Read this book. I said, okay, well, Rich Roll can go vegan. Maybe I can go vegan. And I was like, well, coffee dehydrates me. Alcohol is the gateway to shit food and drugs. Drugs are no good. Bad food was making me slow digestions, burgers, chips. None of it was making sense. So when you spend, half your life you're doing yoga, exercise, meditation, and then the other part of your life you're doing all this crap that's not serving you. I read the book and I was like, okay, cool, that's what I'm doing. I just did it. Same with the run. I was like, okay, I'm doing it. I'm just going to do it. I don't know how, but I seem to be able to just flick the switch whenever I want and not waver. Like yesterday, I had lunch with some friends, and the food was ridiculous. Like all my favorite things that I can't eat anymore.
What are we talking about? Tell us.
Like,
sneak peek.
Like Japanese fried chicken and like all this like amazing stuff. Went for Mexican last night. It was like Baja tacos, like fish tacos, like the stuff. When I traveled through Mexico, that's all I was eating. Yeah. And they were all just like, come, just have one. I was just like, no, I'm not doing it. Like, this is what I'm doing now. Like, I just shut it off. As enjoyable as it looks, it's like if I break now, then it's over. So I'm just not going. Until one day, maybe I will. But right now, no.
Yeah. Do you find that your friends, do you find when people say you got to surround yourself with the right people, do you find that to be true, at least for you or some people you know, that for you to be able to continue on that trajectory, you had to make some changes in your social circle?
So I did make a lot of changes, but it hasn't made that easier or harder for me. Like, even if I was hanging out with people who all I did was eat crap and that, I still wouldn't do it. Yeah. But I have eliminated a lot of people out of my life more for the energy that they took from me in other ways, not so much for my habits. Like I can be there in a room and not have it and not get pressured by anyone. But I have taken a lot of people out of my life who aren't on the same path as me. They're not right. You know, I've people that are negative, stuck in the old ways, don't see the light through it. I've got rid of those people out of my life, and now I hang out with a lot of people who are very successful, who have the same, maybe not financially, but fit, healthy, like mentally. But that's just because we like to have the same conversations. My conversations now have changed with people from crap that you used to talk about to totally different things. So, but that hasn't changed the reason why it was easier for me to quit all that stuff. Yeah.
I think in a way, indirectly it helped. Yeah. Because you not being energy drained gave you more energy to focus and continue what you do.
Yeah. And I train a lot. So I'm training for a triathlon. So like I could do, because I've got 4-year-old twins, and I have them 50% of the time. So I can't do a 4 or 5 hour. I've got an indoor treadmill, indoor trainer for when I have my kids, because I can't just leave them in the house. So I have to sometimes put them to bed at 7:30. I have to do a 5-hour ride till 1 o'clock in the morning. They wake up at 5:30, and then I have to do another run for like 2 hours. So if I have no energy because I'm drained because of someone else, it's pretty hard to do. Like 4 to 5 hours a day of training. You've got a full-time job, business, 2 kids. Like time and energy is the most important thing.
100%.
And if I have a bad diet, that's going to suck all my energy. If I don't sleep properly because I'm stressed out because one of my mates is stressing me out about some shit that's got nothing to do with me, that's not going to help. So you have to eliminate so many things. So I guess it all does go hand in hand. Eliminate all the crap, and then you can fully focus on yourself, which is the best part, I think, about what's happened with COVID. It's given everyone not everyone's used it properly, but it's given everyone a chance to 100% focus on themselves, because they don't have the excuse of, I've got to go to a meeting, I've got to drive, I've got to do this. It's like, stuck at home, focus.
You got no excuse.
You got no excuse but to focus on yourself and your kids and your work.
Yeah, and obviously we're not trying to be harsh. Like, a lot of people went through difficult times, right, financially. But what we're saying here is that being forced to be at home gives you a lot of time to self-reflect, to, you're saving at least an hour, maybe more, on your commute time. There's a lot of time that you had during the lockdown that you could have used to the best of your abilities, and you have done that, right? You use that to transform a lot of things. I want to go into running. I'm not a runner. I appreciate runners. I listened to the David Goggins book, and I watched his entire episode with Joe Rogan. I know a lot about him. A lot of that you probably know a lot more, but I feel like you almost tapped into something similar to what he always talks about, which is flipping that switch in your mind where you just don't feel the pain after some point. You just keep going. The pain is sort of still there, but it doesn't bother you as much, and you could just power through it and keep going and going and going. So how's that, like? Is that true for you, and how do you see it?
The thing I love about like exercise and fitness, where I don't think a lot of people think like too much, they think they're exercising, but fitness is the best. It's the closest thing to life, right? So if you're doing a run and things are shit and your legs are sore, you go, I'm going to run 10Ks, 5Ks in, your calves cramp up, and you either give up or you just go, no, I'm running 10Ks, I've got to stick through it. Same with life. When shit gets hard, people either bail out and they can't handle it, or they push through and see the light to the other side. Like, it's so similar. Like, same with CrossFit. It was horrible. It's such a horrible thing to do because it's so hard. But when you fight through it and you finish it, if you don't die, yeah? So running 60Ks that I just ran, all I was thinking to myself was, well, I'm not going to fucking die. What's the worst thing you can do? Like, I catch an Uber. Like, it was like, no, I'm doing it. And that's the same with life. David Goggins calls it callousing the mind. It's like, you got to callous in your mind. So you're constantly doing it. It's like life. I push my life to the boundaries in every way possible. I've done some stupid shit. Like, I've ended up in prison for drugs, like all sorts of stuff. And the reason that I've been able to get through, I just went through a really pretty bad divorce, lost most of my money. Like, the ups and downs of my life is what's made me be able to deal with stuff like COVID. Like, to be able to flip that easily and just go, okay, business has got to change. I'm not going to stress out about it. Where a lot of people haven't been through much in their life, that they haven't been able to flip it because it's the first thing they've been through. It's the same with training. It's like, I'm so consistent with my training that when it gets bad, it's just another training session. It's like, okay, well, that's all right. I'm having a bad day. Worse than yesterday. Better than probably one of the other sessions I've done. Yeah. So it's just all about consistency and pushing yourself to your limits without breaking. Sometimes you break. You break.
Do you look forward to the running high that you get at the end? Is that one of the things that motivate you to run, or? Well,
I live in a national park, so I run like through trees that are 300 years old. Yeah. Like, it's amazing. It's literally a form of meditation. So I could run for 4 hours and just be completely zoned out. I could listen to the same song 30 times and not even realize. Like, I'm that zoned out.
Wow.
So I don't know if it's a runner's high or what, I don't know what to call it, but it's like I actually get probably more meditative state out of that than actually meditating. Like it just, everything shuts off. It's when I did the ultra, I stared at one spot on the ground for 6 hours and just ran.
Wow.
When it was good, when it was bad, I couldn't have told you what the weather was, who I was running past. I just looked down and just ran for 6 hours. For about an hour towards the end, my calves were cramping up and I was just like, keep running, just keep going. I just kept thinking David Goggins. I actually thought David Goggins a lot. I was like, just dig deep inside the cookie jar. Like, you're going to get there. You'll find a cookie. You'll find a cookie.
And the one thing I wanna understand is after you, because I used to run, but not that long, obviously. But in my experience, there was this stage when you run where you hit that point where like, okay, you tell yourself, okay, dig deep. But after you overcome that sort of stage, it gets a lot easier, and you just go into this autopilot mode where you're just running, and maybe 2 hours later you're like, holy shit, everything is broken now. But is that true? So is that like, or are you constantly through the entire 60K talking to yourself and saying, hey, dig deep, dig deep?
So I just wanted to win, right? Like, I knew I could win this race. Like with the triathlon, I know I can't win because I'm not strong enough with the swim and the ride. But with this run, I knew I could win. So I knew what pace I had to go at. And the guy who was beating me, who's a friend of mine, he was beating me for about 4 or 5 hours. And all I was just looking at my pace. I didn't waver from my pace, because if I tried to follow him, that's how you smoke yourself. So I just followed him. He was about 7 minutes in front of me. And then once I overtook him, I got caught up to him, and I was like, okay, I've got him. And that's when my body started to actually break down. So I got past him, and I was like, okay, see you later, buddy. That's when my body started to break down. And for about an hour, it was pretty torturous. For the last hour, though, I just kept going. Just got to beat him. He might be catching me. He might be catching you. Just keep going, keep going. And then I kind of broke through it. And I actually got a bit towards the end. I was like, fuck, that hour that I was in pain, if I'd have just kept running, I would have got a heaps better time. That's all I was thinking to myself.
Yeah.
It was like, why did I let myself get defeated for that 1 hour? So the next time I do one, I'm going to try, and when I get to that point, just push through it more than what I did, because my time could have been 20 minutes faster.
Yeah.
And it was because of that 1 hour that I kind of let my brain overtake me and go and slow down, which still now pisses me off. But I got through. A lot of people probably would have stopped because it was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
So next time, hopefully I'll be stronger.
Yeah.
But that's it. It's a callous of the mind. I'd never done it before. Now I have. Next time, just do it better.
Do you think that mental toughness is like your biggest payoff from exercising and running, especially when you apply it to business?
100%. That's the one thing. I'm nearly 40. I'm not the most gifted athlete, but literally mentally, no one can beat me. Like I think that's why my friend asked me to do it, because he knew I'd just do it. Yeah. Because he's like, yeah, you'll be right. I know you'll get through it. It's the same when I went to prison. I was just like, okay, cool. This sucks, but I'll be right. Just get through it. And I came out better, stronger. Business, I quit a $350,000 a year construction job to start my own business in real estate. It's like, it's a pretty big shock when you're going from that kind of cash. And then I started it with my wife, and then we got divorced halfway through the business, and all the stuff that she was doing was obviously the stuff that I couldn't do or didn't want to do. So I had to learn all that during COVID, during our divorce. And it was just like my mental toughness was like, I'll get through it. That's all I have to keep thinking. You'll get through it. If I end up with no money at the end of it, I'll make more. It's not that hard.
So were you always like that, or did that mental toughness massively increase over the last 2 years, or maybe at different times of your life, it took a massive boost because of the circumstances?
I think I've always been like that. I was the youngest of 2 brothers. One of them picked on me a fair bit. So I kind of worked out ways to get around that. Like, we were mates, but he still picked on me. I always had something to prove.
Never pick on a younger brother. Never. They'll always come back at you.
I think. I mean, I didn't come from a very wealthy family at all.
Yep.
So anything I ever wanted, I had to get it myself. You know, I always wanted the new computer, the new TV.
Yep.
So I did whatever I had to do to get it. I never ever, if I wanted something, I always got it somehow. A lot of times I did it illegally, but you know, that's just what happens when you're in that kind of situation. It's just street smarts. So I think I've always been like that. I've never ever said no, I can't do it. Like, I don't think I can win everything, but I've always tried my hardest and gone, no, I can definitely do it.
It's super interesting that you mentioned that. So I think, here's my view. Success is a mindset of, one of the most important mindsets is, if I want it, I'm going to get it. I'll make it happen. What differentiates successful entrepreneurs from people who end up in bad places are how they choose to go about it. Like you mentioned, sometimes when you were younger, like you didn't choose the right way of getting what you want, but the very mindset of being super focused on what you want and determined to get it, I find to be very important to have as an entrepreneur.
100%. You can't teach someone resilience and mental toughness. You can teach anyone how to read, write, do algorithms, like if you really want to. But to teach someone that kind of stuff, like the word mindset is being thrown around like I've never seen before. It's everyone's talking mindset. It's like, well, how many people are you talking about it? Are you actually doing it? Like, it's awesome to read about it and hear about David Goggins doing it, but he actually went out and got it himself, like pushed himself through it. You can read 100 books, but how about you just go out there and try something that get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Like I used to read so many books, like 3-4 a week. And I was just like, fuck, I've read all these books. I know what to do. I'm just going to go do it. Like, stop reading books. I stopped reading books. I was like, I'm just going to stop for a while. Because it was like, you can just keep reading and keep reading and keep reading the same thing over and over again. But if you don't execute, what's the point? So I just, to people out there, if you want to get stronger mindset or be the next Grant Cardone, actually go and do it.
Throw yourself in there.
Like, fail. Lose all your money. Like, you're not, it's not that bad.
We're not encouraging you to lose any of your money. Just
put it on the line though. Like, actually risk it. Like, it's not gonna, it's seriously, you have to fail to get better.
Absolutely.
Have to.
I always say fail small and succeed big.
Yeah.
So make small failures or take risk in smaller things first, which will teach you a lot of things for you to maximize your chances to succeed when it matters the most. Yeah.
Well, when I quit construction and started my business, I did both for 6 months. So I didn't just go, all right, see you later, I'm out of here. I'm going to, I did it smart way. Like, I still did it the right way, but it's still risky.
Did you do it side by side for quite a bit?
It was brutal. I was working 85 hours a week and trying to run a business with 2-year-old twins.
Wow.
But that's what I wanted. I still have to walk away from it, but I didn't just go, all right, that's it, I'm going to throw it all away. But in my mind, that's what I was doing. I was 100% dedicated to it. And if I lost everything, it's all right, I'll make it back. Yeah, it's not, people need to, I think, take more risks.
It's a form of donation.
Take some risks.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, cool. Do you have certain people or certain things in life, but more so people, that you draw inspiration from, whether it's like high profile people or even within family or friends? And what do you really do to draw inspiration into your life?
I've had a lot of coaches.
Yep.
And coaches that are the best at what they do, but coaches that you can teach each other stuff. I feel if you have a coach that is constantly just teaching you stuff and you're not teaching them anything, I don't feel like that's a good coaching relationship.
Yeah.
I find it's just someone telling you what their opinion is. So I've got, sales coach, marketing coach, personal development coach, training coach, my coach for my triathlon, pro triathlete. I've a swimming coach, running coach. Like, if I need to get better at something, I'll get a specific coach for that and then work with them to a point where I'm fine. And then, 6 months later, I might work with them again. So paying people that are a hell of a lot smarter than you is so important. It's literally, it skips so many years of failure of just like tapping into what they do and using it to your advantage. It might not work. It might not be exactly the way that they do it, but just listening to what they do and how they did it. Mate, some of my coaches are $1,000 an hour. I mean, you might only have to work with them once a year. Like,
it's a form of learning from other people's mistakes.
100%.
And it's a way to shortcut the path to where you want to go, or like your goals. And I think it's just about finding the right coach. I think at start you got to identify the areas that you really need to be coached in. So for you, for your business, you identify that you need to have a sales coach, someone that, you know, really tells you and helps you become a better seller because you need it for your business. Same thing with marketing, whatever. So you got to really understand what are your weaknesses and what are the things that like are just non-negotiable. You have to have someone, or you have to get better at, and is getting a coach the shortest path to getting there? Yes. Okay. Let me then, a lighting malfunction. And finding the right person. So finding the right person, I think, is more challenging because there's a lot of fake gurus out there in almost every single field. So how do you go through them and find the right person?
Everyone's a coach.
Yeah.
It's like the new thing.
Yeah.
That's like everyone's a coach. Find a person that resonates with you. They might not be the best, say they're the best at what they do, but someone that resonates you and have actually eaten shit to get to where they got to. Like if a coach is a coach because they've done a business course or a coaching course, but they haven't actually literally lost it all along the way and struggled through it. Like the struggle is the gift, and that's how you become a good coach. If they haven't done that, then they're not worth learning from. Like you could go to uni for 10 years and I'd rather have someone that's done it and failed and has no education whatsoever.
Yeah. It's got to be based on what they've accomplished. And also the sad story is that also can be faked, you know, but obviously there are a ton of great coaches out there in every single field. Like we're not shitting on coaches, but you got to be mindful of, you know, those that just didn't walk the path and are very good in front of the camera and just saying, hey, I'll show you the way. Well, show me first that you've been there. And prove that to me first. And I think that's what a lot of people don't really dive into before they actually. But anyway, going back to your inspiration. So you use coaches as a main way to not only learn but also be inspired, because you look at their journey and you're like, wow, okay, that's something I want to get to.
All of the coaches I've had, I've taught them stuff as well. So it's reciprocal.
Wow.
So they're my coach for a certain thing, but then they're like, oh, what are you doing there? Well, I'm going to try that. So they might be a very high profile coach, but if I can teach them something as well, that's a relationship that you want. It's not just someone going, no, do it like this. And it's like, well, I don't feel that's going to work for me. Okay, why? And then you explain to it and they're like, okay, that makes sense. Instead of them just going, no, do it this way.
Yeah.
Because it might not fit for me.
Yeah.
So if they're so in their head that they can't see past their own shit, and go, okay, that might not work for you, then that's not what I find as a good coach, mentor, whatever the hell they are these days. I can't keep up. But you need to be able to teach each other stuff. And if I see a lot of people with all these mentors and they just go, oh, they told me I have to do this, so I got to do it. So they follow their every word.
They don't challenge it.
That's dangerous. It's like you got your own, you got to still follow what you want to do and what you believe in as well. So you got to, I think, be at a point, you got to be at a point where you're ready, or you know enough about what you want that you can take someone else's advice instead of being so lost that you just go, oh, I'm just going to do what this person says, because that's a recipe for failure.
You got to collect advice too, not before taking it on board. You got to, I think that you have to speak to different people and not just take one advice or one angle or one perspective. And it's kind of hard. Like, it's easy to do if you're a CEO or if you're, a chairman of, an organization, whatever. You have a lot of people around you to ask. But if you're an entrepreneur, limited resources, or if you're a small business owner, or if you're, a young athlete, you might not have that. So you're going to have to go out and reach out and ask. But you got to also process all that stuff and see what works for you and what makes sense.
Yeah, when I started my business, I actually, when I do anything, triathlon, business, whatever it's ever been, I reach out to the best person that I think in that industry and just reach out to them and be like, hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm really excited about it. You have 5 minutes. Just talk to me about anything. 99% of the time, they say yes.
Yep.
Even a 5-minute chat. And then you build rapport with them. You end up maybe even having a friendship. And they might not coach you. You might not have to pay them anything. But it's just getting into their ecosystem where they go, look, I can't do it. I'm too busy. Or, that's not what I do. Talk to this person. Talk to that person. So every single coach or mentor I've had has been a referral of someone else who's been at the top of the top that I wanted to know about.
Yeah.
Triathlon was someone introduced me to my coach. And he's a legend. And he's like, yeah, I'll coach. He goes, I don't really coach people, but I'll coach you. My business coach came through someone else that I knew, like through who I met through just reaching out to him on LinkedIn or whatever. So it's all in getting into people's ecosystems that you want to be involved in. It doesn't cost you money to write someone an email or make a phone call.
Yeah, I always talk about that. Like, experts and coaches and mentors are more than willing to share their information. This whole idea that people are, being protective about the knowledge and don't want to share, this is a myth. This is a lie. I think the majority of experts are more than willing to share golden nuggets and help you, and not necessarily for money. A lot of them will give you very good piece of advice without asking for money, because, and that's for me, that's what I always think about. Why do people do that? There's a sense of satisfaction, and call it self-actualization, whatever you want to call it, that when you pass on knowledge to someone who's hungry for it, there's this rewarding feeling that you get that money does not give to you. And that's why I think a lot of people are willing to help you out if you just reach out.
And you find that the ones that are willing to just give it to you is someone they're looking at you going, that's where I was 10, 20, 30 years ago. If someone just wants your money, then they probably haven't been there, because they can't look at you and go, oh, I remember being like that.
Yeah.
I'm just going to help you. Like, people don't have an information problem. They have an execution problem, right? So these people know, look, I can give you all the information, but if you need to execute, you might need to come back to me.
Yep.
But yeah, I've never had anyone hold back any information. I've had people literally email me their whole business frameworks of how they built their billion-dollar business.
Wow.
It's like, here you go. Doesn't mean I'm going to be able to copy it. I'm not that person.
Because they understand it's about execution as well.
Yeah, 100%. It's like, if you're really that driven, then make it happen.
Yep.
And they probably hope you do make it happen, because someone who's really successful isn't scared about you in any way. If someone's worried about you, like the real estate industry, everyone's always worried about, what's that guy doing? Like, these people stealing signs. Have you seen the people stealing real estate signs?
No.
It's like, there's people actually stealing other people's real estate signs from the front of houses.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like that person's putting all their energy into the totally wrong thing. They should be focusing on what they're doing, not what everyone else is doing.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. So that's what I think the best
So
people...
what do they steal it and then do what? And they just...
So if there's like say, open for inspection sign up the road, they'll take it so no one knows at the open inspection of the other companies up the road.
I see, okay.
It's
wow.
like, okay, your energy is going in the wrong place. You'll find the best of the best. They'll put your sign out for you to help you.
Yeah.
Because helping people, reciprocal, like, that's how you get good positive energy.
Yeah. That's insane. It probably works in the short term, maybe that day, maybe it does work, and maybe that's why they do it. But long term, it's a sure recipe for a disaster. Because once you have that reputation, it's done. You're done. No one will trust you in the industry. No one, your customers, no one. And I'm not talking specifically about that in general.
Yeah.
Like,
or someone's going to find you out this day. Or it takes someone to film you going, okay, that looks a bit weird. I'll film that, send it to someone, then you're gone. Like, How did that work out for you?
And that goes viral, you're done.
Yeah.
You're finished.
Oh, mate, yeah. You'll see people who are the best will help you and show you the way that they did it.
Yeah. Sweet. We covered quite a sweet bit of things in the personal / entrepreneurship side. Maybe it is time to dive into your favorite topic of all time, property buying. So property in general, real estate, is something that a lot of people are passionate about. A lot of people also, besides that, do it for the opportunities of wealth that, it comes with. I'm a firm believer that you can't be successful at anything if you're not passionate about it.
100%.
You might get some level of success in it, but longevity, true success is not going to come if you're not truly enjoying what you're doing. Because at some point you're going to wake up and say, okay, you couldn't pay me that much to wake up today to do that because I hate or I don't enjoy it. It's not for me. At what point did you sort of realize that, hey, I'm very passionate about property?
It's a good point. I will say one thing. If I find people when they realize, like, it's like triathlon, right? I've got to feel like, how do you train so much? Like, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But it's like CrossFit. Why did you train so much? Because I enjoy it. And then one day I woke up, I was like, you know what? I don't like CrossFit anymore. So I pivoted to something else. I think people put so much energy into something, and when they push it too far, so they get to a point and they just go, oh, I've got to keep doing it because I'm not saying give up on something because it gets hard, but when you actually have lost the passion and love for it, there's nothing wrong with walking away from it.
Yeah.
Which happened in construction. I loved it. Like, I actually enjoyed it. And then it was just like, which is what happens with so many people in construction because they paid so much money. It's like, I can't walk away from this, but it's like, I hate it. I don't want to be here. So that's when I started looking for other things.
Yep.
So for me, construction, got paid well, started buying property, buying and renovating, built quite a big portfolio.
Yep.
And that wasn't like a passion. It was just like, I put my money into it. I enjoyed renovating. It was making me money. Saw the long-term, obviously property in Australia is, one of the greatest things you can invest in. Everyone loves property. Go to a barbecue, everyone's talking about freaking property.
Yeah.
And a kind of, actually a friend of mine who actually helped me buy my first property was a buyer's agent. And I just looked at his lifestyle. It's like, fuck, is this actually a job? Like, this is awesome. And he just really showed me a lot of what it was. And so that's when I met another guy, Ben Handler, who's one of my best mates now, and he was my first coach.
Shout out to Ben.
Ben, legend. I've just been at his house for the last couple of days.
Yeah, he also does some awesome podcasts.
He does he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty good at the old podcast.
Buyer's Agent Institute.
That's the one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I met Ben, and he just helped me so much transition. Like, it was amazing. His program's amazing. And that's why I did it for 6 months. I was like, okay, I'm just going to do this because I enjoy it and see if I can make something happen. And if I don't enjoy it, then I can stay in construction, even though I don't like it.
Yep.
But then within 2 days of starting it, I was just like, no, that's it. I'm in, 100% in. So my business, which now is 90% focused on investment property, Australia-wide renovation subdivision.
Right.
Because I was doing home buyers and all this other stuff, and I was like, you know what, I was passionate about what I came into it was the renovation subdivision, the stuff that I did.
Yep.
That's what I actually liked, and that's what I find makes people the most amount of money. That's what worked for me. That's how you get wealthy. It's enjoyable, less emotion, more about the dollars. And at the end of the day, if you want to be actually financially free, and for me, walking away from construction was the main, like 90% of the reason was so I could spend time with my kids. So now I take 3 days a week off every single week.
Wow.
And I just hang out with my kids. My calendar's totally booked out. I do not work for 3 days. And took me 2 years to get to that, but that was my main focus. So I'm like, shit, I can do that in 2 years after quitting that job. Then that's what I can do for my clients. So a lot of my clients are the same. They just want to quit their job and hang out with their kids.
Mm.
So that's why I find property amazing, because you can make a shit ton of money out of it, and it really does set you up for wealth and pays you money.
That just blew my mind that you're still quite young, and you have 3 days of the week completely set for you, set aside so you hang out with your kids. A lot of people even couldn't do that at mid 40s, 50s. So if that's the byproduct you get from going to real estate, I'm on board.
That's like, I've literally designed my business around my lifestyle instead of my lifestyle around my business. I mean, if I've got a negotiation with a property and I'm with my kids, and I'm obviously going to do it. Like, I'm not just going to.
Of course.
You know, it's not like, but I don't.
Sorry, I got to hang out with my 4-year-old.
Yeah, sorry.
Forget about your contract.
Sorry about you can keep it. No. But yeah, that's my calendar's booked out. No one can book a thing in. So I've designed my business and my life exactly how I want it. And that was because of property. Like, I was able to have that as my like, I had to sell my property with my divorce. So it didn't all go according to plan, but as life does, what do? Yeah. Had to sell everything, give most of it away. But it's just, I'll just start again. I bought a house 2 weeks ago, another investment property, which I'm going to live in for a while, in Byron Bay. So it's like, okay, shit got bad. I sold everything, gave most of it away. Now I'm moving to Byron and going to live on the beach. Like,
I actually moving to Byron.
Yeah, next month.
Oh, wow.
Like, life.
Congrats, man.
So you turn a real bad negative into something positive.
Welcome to New South Wales.
Yeah. 20 years I've been in Melbourne, so it's going to be interesting. It's going to be sad.
Yeah. Does it feel, quickly on that, does it feel weird that you move into a new state?
No.
No.
I don't know if anyone's noticed what's happened in Melbourne in the last 12 months. But
I think everyone around the world knows, yeah.
So me and my ex-wife are both moving. Kids are going to school up there. Like, it was part of our divorce, part of our separation agreement was we're going to move up there. So I've turned a massive negative of like, lose it all. Life's everyone would think life's over, but I've just gone, nah. I've got 2 acres, 20 minutes from Byron Bay. It's got 2 houses on it. Like, pretty good.
So you living property, the business of buying property for clients is shifting to there. Okay.
Yeah, nothing. Like I said, I've focused my business around my life, so I could move my life there, and nothing will change at all.
Okay. And are you buying all around Australia, or are you focusing on where you are, like the...
No, Australia. I buy Australia-wide.
Everywhere.
Yeah,
okay.
I've got referral partners and business partners in every state that help me with different parts of the process.
Yeah.
If Chris Hemsworth wants me to buy him a $12 million pad, I'll help him.
Chris, if you're listening, Chris,
even though you just
buy that. And,
even though you just built a Bunnings in a national park, but that's all right.
If Chris somehow stumbles on that, which is not going to happen, do I get a commission? Okay, cool. So I just want to talk quickly about the biggest challenges in the buying process from your perspective.
Property?
Yeah.
Finance.
Okay.
People not being the most important part of the whole thing, building a multi-property portfolio, is finance. And
getting finance from the bank or the deposit or both?
If you have the right mortgage broker, anything's possible. I bought my first property at 105% lend with 15 grand. And I turned that 380 grand into $750,000 in 2 years from 15 grand. And then I had $5 million worth of property within a few years, all because I had a mortgage broker who is amazing.
We have to talk. That's awesome.
It's having the right team behind you. Like, it's like coaches. Like, buying property is all about the right team. If you have starts with finance, it ends with finance. If you can't get money, you can't buy property. If you get the wrong finance and you buy one property, like most people in Australia, I think it's like 5% of the population have 2 or more properties. It's like, why? It's like, okay, buying the wrong property can obviously do damage, but if you can't get finance, that's a major issue that a lot of people face. So you need to, I guess, start with the end in mind and reverse engineer it. What do you want in 5, 10, 20 years? Do you want to retire on $100,000 a year? Okay, how am I going to get that? I need $6 million worth of property, paying me rent, paid off.
So let's say I am someone who lives in Sydney and I have a job that pays me $120,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't bought any property yet. What is a realistic, having the right people behind you, what is a realistic target or goal or portfolio that you can achieve in, let's say, 8 years, in your opinion?
So you've got to have positive cash flow properties. So
Right.
they're not cost. I think a lot of people try and get negatively geared properties so they can tax write-offs. If you're looking for a tax write-off, you're not making money. It's a stupid
Just
investment.
minimizing what you're paying.
It's
but
just
like, yeah.
it's a shit strategy. You want to make money. You don't want to write tax off. Like no one likes tax, but so you want positive cash flow properties that have a value add potential. So renovation subdivision. So if you buy, let's say you buy a $350,000 house in Bendigo in Victoria, and your rent's $350 a week, and then you can do a renovation on it for 20 grand. You get more rent. You put your rent up, then your property value goes up. You can subdivide the back, build another house. You got 2 incomes. You can do all that for 600 grand. Or you could buy a house in Sydney for $1 million. It's not going to go up much, and your rent return's crap. So it's thinking outside of your local suburb, which most people go, I live in Parramatta, so I'm going to buy in Parramatta. Yeah, because that's what my uncle Tony told me to do. So it's getting someone to help you think outside the box and work out what's best for this person. Like there's no reason why in 8 years you can't buy 10 properties. You just got to buy the right ones that you can use to buy the next one.
Yeah, because that first example of buying a property and subdividing it and renovating and all that stuff, in 2 years' time, that's going to give you a lot of leverage in terms of your income in order to be able to go to the bank again and say, hey, okay, well, my income has increased. Instead of that property in Sydney that you bought for $1 million or $2 million, that's putting a lot of pressure and eating away from your cash. Then you go to the bank 2 years. They're like, sorry, buddy, your income hasn't increased. Your job is not hasn't substantially paid you more, and your property is eating away. On paper, you're making less money.
It's all about on paper with the bank.
Yeah.
I deal with a lot of chiropractors and doctors. So they come to me with like, okay, I've got a loan for $1 million. Let's go buy a property. And I'm like, how about we buy 3 properties that are going to do this, like 10 things for you instead of just dropping $1 million on something. And they're like, oh, I didn't even think about that. It's like, yeah, of course. Because people go, I've got $1 million. I'm going to spend it. So let's break it down. Buy one, see how the process goes, see how you feel, see what happens with it, and then buy the next one, then buy the next one. You don't have to do it all at once. People need to chill the fuck out. Like property is all about patience. And if you do it properly and smart, then it happens quickly, surprisingly, if you just take a step back. Yeah. So break it down to let's buy 2, 3, 4 properties instead of just waxing the lot on one.
Amazing. So that kind of covered also my next point, which was some tips for buying, which is chill the fuck out. And also covered the how do you grow your portfolio in the sense. Is there anything else that you want to share around whether tips or strategies or tactics that you think people should know about?
Do not tell your friends and family what you're doing.
Right.
Not for the point of hiding things from them, just because everyone's got an opinion and they all think they know what they're talking about. Let's just say you're Greek, right? And your uncle has 47 properties. It's probably because he bought them at 20 grand 30 years ago. He doesn't know what's happening in the market now. Don't listen to him. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, time changes, of course.
Don't listen to people that actually do not know because it's not going to help you in any way. The amount of times in my life people have said to me, why would you do that? What are you doing? Like, it's stupid. It's bad. And then you do it. 5 years later, they're like, oh, how did you do that? Why didn't I listen to you? It's like, I just don't waste my energy on telling anyone anything because if someone asks me my personal opinion, I'll tell them, but I don't tell people about stuff because it's just the negative energy you get off people in Australia, the tall poppy syndrome. People want to cut you down or they want to give you their advice and they have no idea what they're talking about. Like, you don't go to your mate when you got a sore tooth. Oh, what's wrong with my tooth? Oh, it's fine. Okay, cool. You go to a fucking dentist. You know what I mean? It's the same with property.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing of reaching out to someone that you're not going to a random stranger on the street and saying, hey, buddy, you got to do this. It's, when you go out of your way and tell someone your piece of advice, most of the time it comes from a good place. You see something and, you think about it, and you want to tell them what to do to help them. Some people do not take it that way. Some people, whether it's ego, whether it's, being a defensive person by default, or assuming that, when you tell them this advice, you got something, like ulterior motives or something, and that's why I think it's really good to share, like you said, advice and ideas and your knowledge, but when people ask for it,
exactly.
and not just go and give it away, because the chances are a lot of people are not going to appreciate it unless they actually come and ask for it.
Yeah, and if you're going to ask someone's advice, someone that's literally done it, like if your friend has 10 properties, ask them how they did it. Like, not a lot of people ask the wrong questions. Like, you bought a new Ferrari. How, oh, cool. How much was it? It's like, okay, who cares how much it was? How about you ask him, how did you get it? Like, what did you do to get that? You know what I mean?
Asking how much it was because they want to ascertain the wealth.
Yeah, they want to go and get it. It's like, ask the person how they got to where they got to. How did you get that 10 properties? Like, strategically, how did you get it? Who did you use to get it? Did you do it yourself? Did you use a buyer's agent? What did you physically do to get it? Like, people ask the wrong questions.
Yep.
Like, I don't care if it's worth $100 million. I want to know how you got it. And then you extract that information and then ask professionals about it.
Amazing. Thank you so much, man. It's been an honor to have you. I think we covered a ton of important topics, interesting and cool topics. So I'm honored to have you, and I look forward to next time you're back again in Sydney. Maybe we'll catch up again and do one of these. And
I'll be a New South Welshman soon.
You're a New South Wales resident now, so you're one of us.
Yes. I did grow up in Canberra, so I'm kind of coming home.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Canberra's pretty close. So.
Grew up in a circus, and I also lived in Canberra.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about the circus, did we?
No. Do you want it? Just as closing on a very, very different topic, but just curious, because obviously you lived in Victoria for 20 years. What do you think is going to happen in Victoria should the virus surface again? Do you think it will be as, I guess you can call it conservative or strict or whatever, like very sort of intense reaction? And I'm not a politician. I'm not going to go into Mr. Daniel Andrews. But just general thoughts on what you think can happen and should happen if the virus surfaces again.
Melbourne was literally the best city. I mean, I've traveled the world multiple times. Was literally the best city in the world for culture, food, music. Everything about Melbourne was amazing.
Quality of life.
It was the best, except for the weather in Melbourne. Winter sucks. Like, Melbourne without Melbourne's culture is a shit city. It's cold. The beaches suck. It's got nothing, right?
Yeah.
So this year, which is why I'm leaving, because I personally don't think it can get back to how it was for a very, 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 very long time.
Excuse me. You reckon?
No, I think it's a lot of the good places are like a lot of the soul's been sucked out of it. A lot of the expats have left, which kind of made it cool. The music scene is pretty, like, a lot of my good friends are in the music scene. They're going to make it very hard for proper dance parties to happen, for concerts to happen. I think next winter it's definitely going to be just as bad as it was this year, personally. Dan Andrews or whoever else, it's not going to make a difference. Like, he handled it very poorly. He's got 3 years left, but if he wasn't there, I don't think it'd be much different, to be honest. I think it would still. I mean, you got the other side. I don't even know who they are, but saying they do everything differently. But that's what politicians do. They always go against the other person. But if it was flipped the other way, it'd probably be exactly the same situation.
Yeah.
So I don't. Unfortunately, I think Melbourne's not going to be the same for a very long time, which is why I'm leaving.
That's sad to hear, but you know what? I think a lot of us expected when we saw all of this unfolding like 5-6 months ago across the world, we knew that it will take like maybe the economy in general will rebound faster, but a lot of these other things like the culture, you know, personal freedom, entertainment, all these things are not going to bounce back and come back to where they were for quite some time, unfortunately.
Well, economy or no economy, I think that's really not the important part. The culture and what Melbourne has been built on for so many years has had the heart ripped out of it, and that you can't just replace. Economy, give people grants, give people money. Okay, cool, economy's going again. But how do you get someone's soul back? It's like, I've been through a soul-searching experience. It was brutal. Try to do that to a whole city. Like hundreds and hundreds of businesses and musicians and people who have just like been drained. How do you just turn that back on? Pretty hard.
So I don't know if you heard about this, but they used to do studies on animals, specifically elephants. I read this somewhere, where, or not maybe studies. I think it came by coincidence. Anyway, long story short, an elephant that has chains around him, right, on 4 sides, and they're just like sitting there or standing there every day, day in, day out. After years or months, if you unchain them, they will not just walk and just like go around, and like the conditioning of you, like at some point they just even forget. Like it just became the reality. And I think the parallel I'm trying to draw here is us being free citizens, being able to enjoy a lot of things. At some point, and I'm not saying they have, okay, at some point, if they continue to take that away from you, you're almost going to forget
100%.
that you used to do all these things.
Human connection is like why we're here, right? Community and connection is literally the lifeblood of humans. Like I'm a very spiritual person, and if people should probably get more spiritual than they are, and you realize how important the earth and other, like the atmosphere and the energy you get off other people. And when they restrict people from seeing each other, you can't just go, oh, okay, I'm just going to go back out and it's all going to just be redone. Like a lot of people in Melbourne are out and about, but there's still a lot of people that aren't. They're just still, it's like they're still in lockdown, and that's their new life. Like they're just like, okay, maybe I do kind of just like hanging out at home. Maybe I'm a little bit scared. Like fear is debilitating. And I personally I'm not worried. So I'm out, whatever. I haven't been worried the whole time. I'm just like, fuck, I'm going to die. Like I could die, get hit by a car, like whatever. So a lot of people will never come back, which is bad for them. Like people haven't seen their own parents and grandparents for a long time. Like that's literally your blood and you haven't communicated with them or seen them. That's not good for anyone. So I think in Melbourne that we've been hammered so hard that getting that vibe back 100%, I don't know if it's ever going to happen in my lifetime.
You reckon? I'm a bit more positive or optimistic than that. Just a tiny bit. I think it will take time. But it would be sort of one of those things where like you get it's like exponential. Like you get 50% of it back, and then you get 80. You never get the 100%, but at some point, getting to the 90% is going to be good enough that will just like be okay, and then just let the rest take its course.
I find that a lot of people who are like me, who like I was deep in the scene of Melbourne for such a long time, and people are actually going to leave because they're saddened by what's happened, and they're going to go. And other places like Queensland, like Brisbane's very
Up and coming.
Yeah, it's got a shit culture, right? And it's changing. And when, let's just say 500,000 people from Melbourne move to Brisbane and create a new, fresh culture of people that want to like bring it up, that's taking the lifeblood of Melbourne away from it. So it's up to the people who are younger than us to do it, but do they have the same education and culture that we had? So it's going to be a very different culture.
That's a very valid point. It's like a team that sells half of their players.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You've lost the culture. Like Michael Jordan's basketball team, yeah, he was the best, but he had a culture of winning, and he had the team. Like once they left, that was it.
Yep.
They didn't win again. It's like you've taken this culture out of sport. That's why sport and business are so related. Like if you ever read a sports book, it's all about just business structure.
Yeah.
And that's all about 100% about culture, building cultures.
Yeah.
Like Brené Brown goes into footy teams. Like the reason Richmond won their first grand final, they had Brené Brown in there talking about vulnerability and culture, and they got them as one unit. If you took half of that away, there's no way. Even if you replace them with the best players in the whole world, it's not gonna. They're not gonna win.
Yeah.
So it's sad. That's my opinion. It's sad to see that Melbourne's like this. But for me, I'm just going to take my energy somewhere else and make it better there.
You pack your energy, put it in the backpack, and go.
Off I go.
That's awesome. All right. Well, dude, like it's been great to talk to you. Thank you so much. And yeah, enjoy your new chapter in Byron Bay. I'm sure we'll connect again for sure.
100%. Thanks for having me, man. It's been great.
Anytime.
Go.